A few months ago, I published my fifth book, Terror in Palestine. In section 18.3, I wrote about a worst case scenario, a moment where regional containment ends and global contagion begins. Today, that threshold is no longer theoretical. Since February 28, a full-scale war between United States, Israel and Iran has unfolded, no longer in shadows but in sustained open confrontation. Iranian nuclear and industrial sites in cities like Arak and Isfahan have been struck, while waves of ballistic missiles now travel across the region. What I once described as a shadow war has now become a visible, expanding battlefield stretching from Tehran to Mediterranean. So today is March 31st. Nearly 1 month has passed, and 1 month ago, on February 28th, Operation Epic Fury and Operation Rising Lion began. Since then, we have noticed big changes. The word big is not enough, actually. We are talking not about proxies anymore. We're speaking about the death of supreme leader, attacks on nuclear facilities, and attacks that are spreading all over the Middle East. So, what I said that global contagion will stop and the war will spread all over the globe. My prediction, my darkest fear, has become a reality through this war. In my book, I wrote, what begins as containment ends as contagion, a regional conflagration that swallows borders. Look at what has happened in just the past weeks. The spark. Direct confrontation is no longer deniable. Joint US Israeli strikes have hit critical Iranian military and nuclear infrastructure, including command centers and missile production sites. The escalation. Iran has responded with repeated waves of ballistic missiles, some carrying cluster munitions targeting Israeli cities and strategic cities, overwhelming even advanced air defenses. The expansion. This is no longer a contained war. Missiles are reaching the Gulf, including the UAE, while regional actors are entering the conflict. The alliance trap. United States is now fully embedded, not just strategically but militarily, while also attempting fragile negotiations even as the strikes continue. The fault lines I described did not just crack, they have become active. Many asked why I was so pessimistic in this section. But history is not random, it is patterned. The failure of diplomacy, even now, talks are indirect and fragile. Proposals exist, but both sides continue strikes, revealing how diplomacy has become secondary to battlefield realities. The regionalization of the war. Iran's allied networks are no longer passive. Groups like the Houthis have now begun entering the conflict, launching attacks towards Israel, expanding the war into a multi-front confrontation. The human cost? This is no longer a strategic abstraction. Reports indicate over 1,000 civilian deaths in Iran alone, with strikes hitting defense urban areas and infrastructure, even schools, by the US strikes. The economic shock. The Strait of Hormuz is effectively under threat, disrupting the global energy flows and triggering one of the most severe trade shocks in decades. This is a worst case scenario that looks like not a single but a cascading system failure across diplomacy, security, and humanity. As an author, we never write these things feeling that they would become a reality. We write these things hoping that the world will read it and choose a different path. This topic is actually too long for me and my feelings to be conveyed in a single video. Later, I want to speak about how the war or the contagion would end. And if you have read In Terror in Palestine, then go back to chapter 18 today. And if you have not, then I will link it below. And also, we need to understand the why if we need to know the how. So stay safe and remember that we are in a major moment of history and we need to decide on which part we want to stay on. US, Israel, the whole world, or humanity.